All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we are unpacking the absolutely massive 2026 NEET exam leak and the incredible youth movement that it sparked across India. This isn't just your standard story about a test going wrong. No, it's a profound look at what actually happens when millions of young people completely lose faith in the systems built to secure their futures. So we've got to start with this wild question. Why on earth are Indian youth calling themselves cockroaches? It sounds totally absurd at first, right? But if you look at the thousands of students who marched on Parliament, understanding this very weird moniker is actually the key to understanding the deep anger driving this whole movement. Section 1, the cockroach protests. It all started in the sweltering heat of Delhi with this satirical name, and man, it rapidly evolved into a massive, undeniable reality. And this just brilliantly illustrates how one single offhand remark can light a massive powder keg. Basically, when India's top judge reportedly referred to unemployed youths as cockroaches, these students didn't just get mad. They got organized. They literally reclaimed the insult and formed the Cockroach Janta Party, or CJP. This move completely galvanized the movement, leading to an estimated 50,000 people protesting at Jantar Mantar. They were out there vehemently demanding systemic reform and calling for the immediate resignation of the education minister, Dharmendra Pradhan. The stakes reached an absolute boiling point when prominent leaders joined the fray. Take environmentalist and education reformer Sonam Wangchuk. He went on an indefinite hunger strike for a staggering 21 days. Think about that. For 3 solid weeks, he starved himself, demanding an independent judicial inquiry into the testing agencies, right up until the Delhi police had to step in because of critical health concerns. It really shows you the immense physical and emotional toll these protesters were willing to endure. Section 2, Anatomy of an Exam Leak. Now, to truly grasp their fury and figure out why 50,000 students would hit the streets in that blistering summer heat, we need to flash back to the root cause on May 3rd, 2026. On that specific day, over 2.2 million hopeful students sat down to take the NEET undergraduate medical entrance exam. As you probably know, this is the single gateway to medical colleges in India, making it one of the most high-pressure environments you could possibly imagine. But just shortly after the exam wrapped up, a whistleblower from Sikar, Rajasthan, who was actually a chemistry teacher, flagged a so-called guess paper that was rapidly circulating online. The sheer scale of this compromise was totally unprecedented. When authorities actually sat down and compared the official exam with the leaked papers circulating on WhatsApp, they found up to 120 questions were exact matches. I mean, out of 180 total questions, getting 120 right in advance, that isn't just a leak. It is a total dismantling of the exam's integrity. It meant that merit had been completely bypassed. Section 3, the investigation and arrests. Obviously, this realization triggered an unprecedented criminal investigation led by the Central Bureau of Investigation, the CBI. And what they uncovered was a highly sophisticated multi-state network. The CBI mapped out an exact modus operandi that seriously reads like a true crime thriller. Step 1, an inside source within the testing apparatus acquires the paper. Step 2, those questions get distributed via encrypted messaging apps like WhatsApp. Step 3, desperate families are paying exorbitant amounts. We're talking up to 15 lakh rupees, which is roughly 10,000 US dollars, just for access. And finally, students were brought to private locations, like a beauty parlor in Pune, just a day before the test, to memorize the answers. Some of the specific details they uncovered were just staggering. For instance, an NTA-appointed subject expert who happened to be a school headmistress in Pune used her position to memorize the physics paper. She printed it at her school, passed it to a co-conspirator, wiped her chat history, and literally burned her handwritten notes to destroy the evidence. Oh, and get this, she actually saved her co-accused phone number under the contact name God. It's a pretty stark reminder of the massive lengths this network went to just to profit off the system. What's really alarming here is how fast this entire timeline escalated. The crisis moved from a localized leak and Latour on April 23rd to the exam on May 3rd, and then boom, a nationwide cancellation just 9 days later on May 12th. By July 20th, the whole thing had snowballed into the massive Sunset Chalo March on Parliament. Section 4, Political Fallout and Demands. With the exam officially canceled on May 12th, this crisis instantly transformed from an educational disaster into a highly charged political battleground. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation explicitly promising severe punishments for those involved. his government proposed an amendment to the Public Examinations Act, looking to set up fast-track courts specifically for paper leaks and aiming to push the maximum jail term for offenders beyond the current 10 years. Conversely, the leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, used the moment to highlight what he framed as a systemic failure. He countered with claims that there have been 152 exam leaks across the country in just a decade, resulting in 0 convictions. Throwing his support behind the CJP's demands, he called for the immediate resignation of the education minister and an official apology to the nation's students. So you have these factions presenting radically different solutions, and it's important to look at both impartially. The central government focused heavily on deterrence, stricter judicial penalties, fast-track courts, and tighter laws. Regional leaders, however, like Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, argued that the centralized system itself is the actual problem. They demanded that the nationwide NEET exam be completely abolished, wanting to hand the power of medical admissions right back to individual states based on high school marks. Section 5. The retest and reforms. Now, right in the middle of this fierce political gridlock and ongoing street protests, the national testing agencies still had a massive logistical nightmare to deal with. They had to figure out how to safely conduct a retest for millions of incredibly anxious students. To say the security measures for that June 21st retest were extreme would honestly be an understatement. Test setters and translators were locked down at undisclosed locations with 0 access to digital devices. Following a high-level meeting, they literally used the Indian Air Force to transport the question papers across the country. Plus, the government temporarily blocked the Telegram app across all of India for a week, just to stop the spread of rumors and fake papers. But even with those massive security efforts, the damage to student morale was super palpable. Over 270,000 students simply skipped the retest. Attendance dropped to 87.72%, which is one of the lowest in recent years. And this statistic is vital because it really highlights the severe emotional toll this took on the youth. Hundreds of thousands of aspiring doctors were just too exhausted, too stressed out, or too disillusioned to even try again. In a bid to prevent future fiascos of this magnitude, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan announced a major structural reform. The NEET exam will officially transition away from physical pen and paper formats and become a fully computer-based test, or CBT, starting in 2027. The hope here is that by removing physical papers from the equation, they can eliminate those supply chain vulnerabilities that criminals completely exploited this year. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question to consider regarding the ultimate systemic consequences of the 2026 NEET scandal. As the cockroach protests proved, the youth of India are demanding deep structural accountability, not just surface-level fixes. So will shifting to digital screens and threatening stricter jail times truly rebuild the shattered trust between the government and its future doctors? Or is this just the beginning of a much larger reckoning for India's education system? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the systems around you.